Throughout early Dragon Ball, glimpses of the Great Ape have been shown as Goku's latent potential all the way up to his fight against King Piccolo, where he channeled this power to come out on top. Unfortunately, this concept was abandoned with Dragon Ball Z, where the focus shifted to the legend of the Super Saiyan until we saw Broly utilize the Ikari form in Dragon Ball Super. Today we explore a possibility in which this concept isn't abandoned, but rather embraced. Today we discuss what if Goku learned Ikari. After defeating King Piccolo and climbing up to the top of the lookout, Goku finishes his trials with Mr. Popo, eventually meeting Kami. The major change occurs right here. Instead of cutting off Goku's tail in fear of his Great Ape transformation, Kami sees it as the answer to ensuring that Piccolo Jr. never takes over the world. So he starts to train Goku to access this form, focusing more on his spiritual training and the ability to control his power rather than pure strength. This in turn helps him gain better control once he transforms into the Great Ape. They have 3 years, which translates to 36 full moons, and thereby giving Goku 36 attempts to control the Great Ape. By the end of year 1, they've had many close encounters in which Goku nearly killed them, but he does manage to gain control over the form. This is where Kami's training takes a turn. He takes Goku on a journey to remember the power of the Great Ape in his base form. When he drank the Ultra Divine Water, the ape was unleashed. Against King Piccolo, the ape was unleashed. He needs to harness this power in his base form, and for the remaining 2 years, that's their goal. To accomplish this, Kami would temporarily cut off Goku's tail so that he doesn't transform into the Great Ape, and tries to access his power without the use of his tail. Similarly, Broly didn't have a tail in Dragon Ball Super, he was just able to access Ikari. A form with the sloppy movements of the Great Ape, but with all the power that comes with it, is unleashed within Goku. Eventually he masters it, and it comes time to face Piccolo Jr. The tournament would mostly play out the same, however Goku's base would be slightly weaker because of the different training, so Piccolo would have a clear advantage at their base powers. But once the Ikari form is used, Piccolo is swiftly defeated and eliminated. With his ego shattered and his mission failed, Goku spares him, but does warn of what will happen if he tries to pull anything. After the tournament, life would continue with Goku and Chi-Chi getting married, Gohan being born with his tail of course, and Goku would go on a mission to teach him how to control the Great Ape early on, so that he can control Ikari later. 5 years go by, after which the reunion at Kame House would take place, and naturally Raditz would arrive informing Goku of his Saiyan heritage and asking him to join, which Goku politely declined. Unfortunately for Raditz, Goku uses Ikari to fight him, and with the power level of around 4500, there's no chance for him to do anything. It comes as a shock to Raditz that his brother is this powerful, and everything gets translated back to Vegeta and Nappa as well. He even tries to use the Great Ape, but using the Power Ball drains his power so much so that it only puts him on par with Goku, which leads to him losing due to the superiority of the Ikari form. Vegeta and Nappa would be on their way, and seeing that these Saiyans have the ability to transform themselves into Great Apes without a full moon, Kami would still suggest training on King Kai's for Goku. Without Goku dying and Piccolo not helping against Raditz, Gohan would also train on the lookout with the rest of the Z fighters, with Piccolo training on his own. This would be much more beneficial training for Gohan, because he's training with Kami, the same man who helped Goku master Ikari, which is now Gohan's path. Goku travels through Snake Way much faster with the help of his transformation, and thereby gets more time on King Kai's learning the Kaioken and the Spirit Bomb as originally intended, but also tries to do something else that might come in handy later on. When the time comes, Gohan's tail is gone, but he doesn't have full access over the Ikari form just yet. He can access it, but he isn't able to control the raid. Piccolo would also come to participate in the battle for his own sake, and everyone there is of course wary of him. Goku faces off against Vegeta while the others take on Nappa. With the extra time on King Kai's planet, Goku's power level would be around 13,000, which is still not comparable to Vegeta's initial 18,000. A fact that Goku realizes early on in their fight, which forces him to use Kaioken, but he still holds out his trump card because he wants to enjoy the fight. On the other hand, Nappa is being handled by the Z fighters and Piccolo, but he's still plenty strong and capable enough to kill Yamcha and nearly kill Chaozu. That is until Gohan rages out and uses Ikari to lay a beating on him. Together they launch a collective blast which puts Nappa down, but Gohan still continues to rage, attacking everybody around. Goku lays a beating on Vegeta, which eventually leads to him firing the Gala gun that Goku counters with a Kamehameha. To ensure that Vegeta goes down, he uses Ikari, which immediately shifts the beam struggle in his favor, overtaking Vegeta and seemingly killing him. He then turns to see Gohan out of control and Piccolo about to lay him out. He charges in, grabbing Piccolo's hand with one of his and calming Gohan down. To their displeasure, it's then that they turn around and see a Great Ape Vegeta behind them. Goku realizes that Vegeta is stronger than him and tells everybody that they have to eliminate the tail. Unfortunately, even knowing that, it's hard enough to get in that position, so while Goku deals most of the damage, the others are pummeled by Vegeta one by one. Chaozu's the first to go, followed by Piccolo, before Gohan and Goku team up to land collective strikes that land Vegeta on his back. Tien fires a tri-beam that does little damage but creates the time and the distraction for Krillin to fire up a Destructo Disc and take out Vegeta's tail. With the damage that's already been done, even though Goku might want to spare Vegeta, Tien walks up and kills him for killing Chaozu. Of course, they're going to need to go to Namek for the Dragon Balls to revive Yamcha and Chaozu, but without Vegeta on Namek, the Frieza force is not going to have a hard time collecting all the Dragon Balls. Goku sidelines Gohan because of his lack of control over the Ikari form, making him a flight risk. So Tien and Krillin go alongside him in Kami's ship, which does take a month in which they train. However, there is no gravity room. This training would still bump them up quite a bit, with Goku being the only notable power level reaching 20,000. Once they get to Namek, it's a race against the Frieza force to collect the Dragon Balls. They run into Frieza soldiers quite often, with Goku splitting off in one direction while Tien and Krillin go in another. They end up having to rescue Dende from dying to Dodoria, which they're able to do, and Tien's able to use the solar flare to get Dodoria off their back for the time being. Goku, on the other hand, ends up having to put down Kui and kindly request Dragon Balls from Namek villagers, who do give them up to Goku because he isn't a Frieza soldier and also isn't trying to kill them. Goku ends up going for the remainder of the Dragon Balls at Frieza's ship since there's no large power level currently there. As he enters, a large group of Frieza soldiers stare him down, and that goes about as well as you would expect, with all of them getting laid out and Goku retrieving what's there. Frieza only has 2 in his possession, and this is when Goku starts to get concerned about confronting the malicious power level that's much greater than even his own. He decides to go to the single Dragon Ball at Guru's after regrouping with Tien and Krillin. This leads to Guru reading their mind and understanding their intent for the Dragon Balls. He gives them the one and unlocks their potential. This is specifically important for Goku because in the original series, over the course of the Namek arc, as a result of his potential unlock, Krillin got about 50 times stronger, and Gohan got about 100 times stronger. So it's safe to say that Goku would land somewhere in between with more potential than Krillin, but less than Gohan. So we're gonna go with 75 times, landing him at 1.5 million. Eventually, the Ginyu Force would arrive on Namek, and while Goku, Krillin, and Tien deal with that, Nail sneaks off to distract Frieza. The Ginyu Force is taken care of fairly easily, with Tien and Krillin being able to take out the lesser four with their increased power levels, and Goku taking out Ginyu at a quick pace with the use of Ikari while not letting himself get body swapped. They would take the Dragon Balls from under Frieza's nose while he fights Nail and uses Dende to bring back Yamcha, Piccolo, and Chaozu. While Porunga is summoned, Namek changes to night, which is when Frieza realizes he got played and quickly rushes to get his wish. As soon as he arrives, the Dragon Balls turn to stone with Guru's death, and the Z Fighters face off against Frieza. Goku initially believes that he has it locked down, starting to fight the Emperor, but with Frieza powering up into his second form, Goku gets more of a challenge. It's then that Frieza reveals a third form, which now surpasses Goku's base, forcing him to use Kaioken to keep up. Once he reveals his final form, Frieza starts to manhandle Goku. The Ikari form puts Goku at a good 15 million, but using half his power, Frieza disables him. This is when Goku pulls out a new ability he had been keeping secret. It's dangerous to pull off and might even rip him apart, but he has to try. Since he learned the Kaioken, he's been experimenting combining it with the Ikari form, and it's now or never as he unleashes a fiery red aura on top of Ikari, doubling his power. Frieza's taken aback as a much stronger wave of Ki Blast comes towards him, but unfortunately Goku still is not able to come out on top. Having not yet seen Dende's healing ability, Frieza isn't quick to kill him, so when Krillin and Tien rush in to use distractive maneuvers like the Solar Flare and Tri-Beam, Dende quickly heals Goku, leading to a 33 times increase, putting Goku's power level around 15 million. This is when Frieza realizes, but it's just far too late now because just with the Ikari form, Goku is able to take him out easily. On Earth, there's a different problem going on, with Piccolo attempting a takeover as no one except for Yamcha and Kami are on the planet to defend. Yamcha is even able to put up a decent fight, but he still needs saving from the one person Piccolo didn't account for, Gohan. Kami quickly gets Gohan on the case as he himself goes down, realizing that he doesn't have Goku to save them, so he needs to put away Piccolo now while he can. As Gohan rushes in with Ikari, he's able to defeat Piccolo, pummeling him down. It doesn't come easy, but he does come out on top, with Kami then utilizing the Mafuba to put Piccolo away. Goku and the others would eventually return, and they use Earth's Dragon Balls combined with some Namekian wishes to fix planet Namek and to keep the planet safe. This leads into a time skip until King Cold arrives on the planet, but he's met by Future Trunks. For those of you wondering how Future Trunks is here without Vegeta, the future timeline remains unaffected in my what ifs because our what ifs focus on the main timeline. With him taking out King Cold though, Trunks would realize the differences in the timeline with Goku already being on Earth and no Vegeta in sight. It doesn't take long for Trunks to see that this isn't his past, but what's worse is that Goku doesn't even know Super Saiyan. Even without Super Saiyan, they're much stronger than him using whatever this Ikari form is, but from what he understands, they need to learn Super Saiyan if they even want to stand a chance. So after showing it off and explaining it, Trunks heads off after giving the warning and the heart medicine. Given that there's 3 years to figure this out, Goku would unlock Super Saiyan, and the only change I would like to make is that Gohan also unlocks Super Saiyan. Without Piccolo, Goku is solely training with Gohan, so I think it makes sense, and there's not much else that changes here, so let's just jump to the androids. The androids would of course have been adjusted to match Goku's strength, so him having Ikari early on would make the androids stronger, as that's data Jiro would have collected. However, Goku would obviously still have Super Saiyan, which would still make him far stronger and still come as a surprise to Jiro in 19. The heart virus is unfortunately going to mess things up, but that's when Gohan jumps in, taking out 19 with Jiro getting away as usual. Trunks arrives back to the past and they track down the lab, but without Vegeta there, everyone is more keen on listening to Trunks, so they back away once the androids are released and regroup with Goku. Once he's healed, of course the focus becomes defeating the androids, which leads to the time chamber. Without Piccolo and Kami fusing, Cell would have his way with the people of Earth until he encountered 17 and 18. Obviously he absorbs them and kills 16 as well, all of which the Z Fighters can do nothing about. He would announce the Cell games which Goku and Gohan are now training for. With Gohan already having Super Saiyan, time is saved in the room, so they immediately go for mastering the form. After that, Goku doesn't think of Super Saiyan 2 as the way ahead. He instead thinks of combining Ikari with Super Saiyan. He himself has done it before with Kaioken, and while it is harder with Super Saiyan, he also has all the time he needs. Gohan can't exactly get there with the time allotted to them because he's inexperienced. He does, however, get much stronger, but the weight of the world is on Goku, not Gohan. Once the Cell games commence, Goku steps up to the plate to fight, and in Super Saiyan Grade 4, he does just as well as originally, only slightly weaker than Cell. It's then that he smiles and starts to power up, unleashing his Ikari form as his aura spikes and sends everybody flying. To give you guys a comparison, Super Saiyan 2 is twice as strong as full power Super Saiyan, and Ikari on top of Super Saiyan would be a 10 times boost, which would make Goku way stronger than what's needed to take out Cell. And so he does. Trunks would return to his timeline and take out the android with the power he gained from training, and the 7 years of peace would commence with an alive Goku. Goten would of course be born in this time and without a tail as per usual, but with Goku present, his training would start early and commence with more efficiency. Goku himself wouldn't strive towards Super Saiyan 3 in this time. He'd have to first unlock Super Saiyan 2, which I'm confident he would, but after that, Super Saiyan 3 seems less likely to strive for than figuring out how to utilize Ikari on top of Super Saiyan 2. Strategically speaking, it's a smarter move as well, because Super Saiyan 3 is 4 times on top of Super Saiyan 2, and Ikari would be a 10 times boost. This wouldn't come without its challenges, and I don't think he would have it figured out by the end of this time skip, but he's getting close. Instead of treating the 25th Tenkaichi Budokai as a Goku reunion, it's just seen as a fun opportunity to fight. Of course, it goes off the rails with Popovich and Yamu, but everything goes about the same. Only difference is that instead of Vegeta, Tien is there. Goku, Gohan, and Tien would enter the ship alongside Shin, and Tien would go first, dispatching Pui Pui, and Goku would defeat Yakon as he did, with Gohan fighting Deborah. Unfortunately, Gohan is much weaker than even originally, considering he never strived to stack Ikari on top of Super Saiyan or even unlock Super Saiyan 2, so Deborah is going to come out on top here. Since no one can be turned into a Majin, it comes down to Goku versus Deborah being the necessary item to trigger Buu, but I don't see this happening. This fight wouldn't last long enough to pull that off, so the Buu saga ends here. 4 more years go by, and this is where Goku would finally be able to achieve the capacity needed to unlock Super Saiyan 2 with Ikari. However, the threat to come might push him further. The God of Destruction awakens in search of the Super Saiyan God, and of course that leads him right to Earth, where Goku can't resist challenging him. This leads to a fight of spectacular magnitude, with Super Saiyan 2 Ikari being pulled out as Goku's strongest form, far surpassing what Goku Super Saiyan 3 was able to accomplish originally. While he puts up a decent fight and Beerus is slightly impressed, Goku is unable to finish the job and is stopped. This is when they use the Dragon Balls to find out what Super Saiyan God is, which leads to disappointment as they realize that there's only 3 Saiyans. Videl's pregnancy reveals a 4th, but they still need 2 more. This leads to Whis searching the universe for any remaining Saiyans, and he reveals that there are actually 3. Since the Son Goku and Friends return as a canon movie, those events would likely still take place, except Tarble obviously finds out that Vegeta's dead. Although we do know that Tarble is a good-hearted Saiyan, and he likely wouldn't hold any animosity, especially considering that Goku would defeat Abo and Kato, so they can definitely count on him. And the other Saiyan is obviously Broly. With Whis, they would rescue Paragus and Broly from Vampa, and of course Paragus would be willing to do anything to get off, so if that means giving Broly up for some ritual, that's fine with him. After the ritual goes through, Goku becomes a Super Saiyan God and finally takes on Beerus, providing a great fight and impressing Beerus enough to leave the planet alive for now. After Battle of Gods, I can see Broly and Gohan having a great dynamic. Given how strong Broly is, Goku would obviously be sparring with him from time to time, and this would lead to Gohan joining in and finally entering back into training. In this time gap, Gohan would become like a mentor to Broly, as he would help him master his Ikari form like Goku once taught him to do. Of course, further than Ikari, Broly's power is much more explosive and is going to take a longer time to master, but that's when Whis comes in. Even though Vegeta's dead, Bulma is still well and alive, and she would still have a good relationship with Whis, eventually leading to Goku wanting to go train and invite Gohan and Broly to come along. I could see Gohan being reluctant with the whole being away from Earth thing, but they can always work out something with Shin teleporting him back and forth when needed. With Whis training these 3 would be different training for all of them. While Goku goes down the route of unlocking Ultra Instinct as he was guided towards that from the start of Super, Gohan spends more time refining and mastering each form. Broly's the most unique in that his power is too great and too out of control to harness God Ki, but Whis doesn't see that as a defect. He sees it as an opportunity to help Broly control his own power and get stronger that way. Their training would continue until of course Frieza is revived by the remnants of his forces. Gohan would be on one of his Earth visits when Frieza attacks, as he does try to spend more time on Earth than he does on Beerus' planet, so with him leading the charge, there's no need for Goku or Broly. Just using Super Saiyan God, Gohan is able to fight off Golden Frieza, and unlike Goku, while he is kind-hearted, he doesn't see the need to show mercy to an enemy like Frieza, so he ends him right then and there. Following this, of course, the Universe 6 tournament, in which the main participants are Goku, Gohan, Broly, Tien, and let's say Goten for fun. Goten would go first, but I don't think he could get past Batama, to be honest. However, Tien is a much smarter fighter and would be able to, and with his 3 eyes, I could see him figuring out what Frost was doing before he loses to it, so he makes it through. Although with Vegeta, he isn't strong enough to take him out, and the insults aren't really kicking for Tien. Broly steps in to fight next, and I think even without insults, he could take out Vegeta pretty easily. With Kaba, it would be a respectable fight, but of course he stands no chance against Broly. Hit would be the real kicker, with Broly struggling to fight him and getting angrier and angrier as he fights. Having been taught martial arts from Gohan, he tries his best to gain composure, powering up into Ikari and starting to get the advantage on Hit. But at the same time, Hit improves his time skip to a degree that's able to combat Broly. Eventually, the brute powers up into Super Saiyan Ikari, which he is able to control with some difficulty still, but this is where Whis' training kicks in. Hit isn't able to fight further and loses accordingly. Of course, without God Ki being used, Zamasu isn't ticked off at mortals having the power of gods or seeing that firsthand, so he doesn't go all evil. Goku would eventually request a tournament of power, but there wouldn't be a Zen exhibition without a future Zeno. The members of the team consist of Goku, Broly, Gohan, Tien, Krillin, Yamcha, and Roshi. This leaves 3 spaces for more fighters. Paragus isn't strong enough to be considered, but I do think they would ask Tarble to join in as well as Frieza like originally. But lacking a final fighter, I think Gohan might suggest another enemy from the past, given that they're already going down that road. The fighter is of course none other than Cell. Of course, Cell isn't that powerful, but without a Zen exhibition taking up half their time, there is still time to train. Goku would take Cell into the Room of Spirit in time to train up. Cell is a fighter with great potential. Even disregarding the fact that he doesn't have Frieza's DNA this time around, he still has King Cold's, which still gives him a Frost Demon's genetics. He also has the DNA of Saiyans, and he's training with Goku. I don't think it would be anything astronomical, but Cell would get strong enough to participate and even learn something that suits his abilities quite well. The tournament starts and not much changes right away. Cell would obviously stick close with Frieza given their similar situation, and Frieza would even try and team up with Frost, but Cell sees right through it. He knows what Frieza plans to do in the end, so why wait? He fakes a handshake and uses his other hand to trick Blast Frost out of the ring. Gohan and Broly are sticking together, taking on fighters from Universe 9, helping Goku defeat them, and without Piccolo they don't attract the attention of the Namekians, but Gohan would take on Caulifla and Kale instead of Goku. However, it is important to note that Gohan isn't going to teach them how to get stronger. He's there to ensure that they don't get erased. While fighting Caulifla though, he gets the advantage and starts to win, which is when Kale goes berserk and starts to attack him. Broly jumps in and uses Ikari to fight her off, starting to win, which is when Cell comes in from the back and uses his tail to take a huge portion of her energy before knocking her out, while Gohan defeats Caulifla as well. Frieza and Cell take on the large group of Pride Troopers, which they succeed in taking out. The humans fight Universe 10, which leads to both sides eliminating each other respectively. In the midst of all this, Goku and Jiren would of course have their first fight, which goes as usual with Ultra Instinct being unlocked and Jiren taking him down eventually. Hit attacks Jiren, which leads to his defeat, and Kaba goes out shortly after. Gohan and Broly take on the Namekians, and with their greater power as well as matching synergy, they're able to come out on top after a hard-fought battle. Universe 6 is thereby erased. Goku is attacked by the robots from Universe 3, and Gohan and Broly help in fighting them, which leads to Anilaza being born. Of course, with the collective assault of Universe 7, Anilaza puts up the best fight he can. However, he is defeated from their collective blast. Universe 4's hard-to-eliminate fighters nearly take out Gohan, but ironically enough, Cell jumps in to save him. With Gohan and Cell working together, they quickly figure out how they're hiding and defeat the fighters. In the end, it comes down to Universe 7 versus Universe 11. Goku, Gohan, and Cell take on Jiren, with Broly, Frieza, and Tarble taking on Toppo and Dispo. Frieza tries to solo Toppo while Broly and Tarble try to figure out how to defeat Dispo. Tarble uses himself as bait and realizes that Dispo is too fast, so he makes it easy for Broly, catching Dispo off guard and holding him in place for Broly to eliminate them both. Eventually, Frieza gets Toppo to a point where he unleashes his God of Destruction state and manhandles the Emperor, but Broly jumps in to save the day, using Super Saiyan Ikari to fight Toppo hand to hand. It proves to be quite the challenge with Toppo's destructive energy, but Broly overcomes the attack after he rages into full power Super Saiyan and eliminates Toppo. On the other hand, Cell unleashes the Kaioken as his trump card, with Goku and Gohan attempting their best to fight Jiren, but of course the Universe 11 Super Warrior is able to overcome them one by one. In the end, he has them on the ground as Cell stands as the last fighter, shielding the two from an attack ahead. He pulls an Android 17, faking a sacrifice and saving them in the process. Gohan and Goku unleash a last-ditch effort, which proves to work until Jiren goes all out and eliminates Gohan, leaving Goku to unlock Ultra Instinct once more. Being his second time, he doesn't end up going to the silver-haired version, but that doesn't matter much as Broly joins in the effort, and together with the help of Cell and Frieza aiding from the distance, it's a grim story for Jiren as he is eliminated. As a gift to Frieza and Cell, Beerus tells Whis to revive them, and the wish is used to bring back all the universes as usual. After the tournament, Frieza leaves to claim his empire, but Cell kicks back. As we know, Cell's whole thing is wanting the best fight. He drops the whole wanting to create fear in everyone after the tournament because there's people stronger than him that can just kill him at any time. So instead, he sticks back and kicks it, training with Goku and even sparring with Broly from time to time. Goku and Cell would have all-out spars on barren planets to test their strengths, with Cell using further levels of Kaioken while Goku inches closer to Ultra Instinct. Eventually, the Galactic Patrol recruit Goku and Cell to go out and take on Moro. Cell gives Goku the honor of fighting first, first, but really he just wanted to observe what makes Moro so special. If he really has magical capabilities, this might be a different kind of fight, and what he suspected was correct. Moro is able to steal Goku's energy bit by bit until there's nothing left and eventually has him beat. Cell understands what he needs to do, putting up a ki shield in hopes that it stops this or at least limits it. His main goal is to overwhelm Moro with attacks, but it's really just a distraction to swoop in from the back and use his tail to acquire the energy that Cell stole from Goku. He's successful in doing this in part, but Moro uses other magical abilities to stop Cell and uses more energy from the rest of Namek to replenish what Cell stole. For now, Cell doesn't see a way he can win, so he takes Goku and retreats. Moro makes his wishes, which leads to Cell and Goku having to stay on the Galactic Patrol ship and figure out how to counteract Moro. Beerus ends up training them with Goku learning Ultra Instinct. This would eventually lead to the fight on Earth, where Cell would take on Moro first, and while he is stronger, Moro still proves to be too much. Cell utilizes an advanced version of the duplicate technique, creating another version of himself but with all the same powers and no loss of strength for either part, something Beerus helped him learn. While Moro struggles initially, he's able to combat this, nearly killing Cell, which is when Goku steps in, Ultra Instinct and all. He's able to get the better of Moro, which leads to him running for 7-3, but Cell is quick on the move, stopping him in his tracks and kicking him back down to Earth. Cell realizes that Goku's about to go all Goku and give the Goku treatment and offer him mercy, but he finishes the job before Moro flips the tide on them. The Granola arc is up next, and I don't see much changing. Vegeta's role is replaced by BROLY and Cell. With BROLY's involvement, they're more likely to defeat Gas sooner, and Frieza wouldn't have to jump in. But Frieza would eventually show up. Although, I don't know that he could take out BROLY with a single punch. He would still make some form of statement by at least taking out Goku and intriguing Cell greatly. Superhero goes a bit different considering the lack of Piccolo, but Gohan is strong enough to do the damage on his own. It's very plausible that he still unlocks Beast. The trigger would of course be Pan and not Piccolo since there is no Piccolo, but it ends in the same manner. With that said, I hope you guys enjoyed, like and subscribe, and check out this video to continue your good day on YouTube.